Are we supposed to make a wish? What's the story on this motherfucking dragon?
What's the story on this motherfucking dragon?
Oh my God! Nisha! Huh? Hey Zion. For those who don't know, Daniel means God is my judge. L-E-L, God is my judge. And he is known for interpreting dreams and visions, or having visions and interpreting dreams. And he stayed in Babylon. He actually had a high office there, but he never turned his back on his God while serving in a high office in Babylon. So I'm going to read Daniel 14. I think this is the Catholic's version. I'm not quite sure. Somebody can correct me on that. Okay, Daniel chapter 14. And Daniel was the king's guest and was honored above all his friends. Now the Babylonians had an idol called Baal, and there was spent upon him every day 12 great measures of fine flour and 40 sheep and 6 vessels of wine. The king also worshipped him and went every day to adore him. But Daniel adored his God. And the king said to him, Why dost thou not adore Baal? And he answered and said to him, Because I do not worship idols made with hands, but the living God that created heaven and earth and hath power over all flesh. And the king said to him, Doth not Baal seem to thee to be a living God? Seest thou not how much he eateth and drinketh every day? So Daniel's going to uncover a scam within the temple. Verse 6. Then Daniel smiled and said, O king, be not deceived, for this is but clay within and brass without. Neither hath he eaten at any time. And the king, being angry, called for his priests and said to them, If you tell me not who it is that eateth up these expenses, you shall die. But if you can show that Baal eateth these things, Daniel shall die, because he hath blasphemed against Baal. And Daniel said to the king, Be it done according to thy word. That's confidence, flat out. He like, I know for a fact this thing ain't eating nothing. So, verse 9. Now the priests of Baal were 17, beside their wives and little ones and children. And the king went with Daniel into the temple of Baal. And the priests of Baal said, Behold, we go out, and do thou, O king, set on the meats, and make ready the wine, and shut the door fast, and seal it with thy own ring. So the lords and kings and emperors would have a ring with a imprinted symbol, and they would dip it in wax and seal decrees. And when those seals are broken, they know it's been opened. So that's how they would seal decrees. Verse 11. And when thou comest in the morning, if thou findest not that Baal hath eaten up all, we will suffer death, or else Daniel that hath lied against us. And they little regarded it, because they had made under the table a secret entrance, and they always came in by it and consumed those things. So it came to pass, after they were gone out, the king set the meats before Baal, and Daniel commanded his servants, and they brought ashes, and he sifted them over the temple before the king, and going forth, they shut the door, and having sealed it with the king's ring, they departed. So Daniel's smart. He spread ashes on the floor to collect footprints. Verse 14. But the priests went in by night according to then custom with their wives and their children, and they eat and drank up all. And the king arose early in the morning, and Daniel with him. And the king said, Are the seals whole, Daniel? And he answered, They are whole, king, because remember, they built a trap door underneath Baal. Verse 17. And as soon as he had opened the door, the king looked upon the table and cried out loud with a loud voice, Great art thou, O Baal, and there is not any deceit with thee. And Daniel laughed, and he held the king
to impose, but
that he should not go in. And he said, Behold the pavement, mark whose footsteps these are. And the king said, I see the footsteps of men and women and children, because it was wide, slender, and small footprints because of the ashes he spread. And the king was angry. Then he took the priests and their wives and their children, and they showed him the private doors by which they...
The devil's anus.
Anus? Wait. Who's anus?
Doors by which they came in and consumed the things that were on the table. The king therefore put them to death and...
It's called the revenges.
Revenges?
Because I'm getting revenge. You're getting revenge, and what do you want revenge?
I'm undecided.
Okay.
Delivered Baal into the power of Daniel, who destroyed him and his temple. And there was a great dragon in that place, and the Babylonians worshipped him. And the king said to Daniel, Behold, thou canst not say now that this is not a living God. Adore him, therefore. And Daniel said, I adore the Lord my God, for he is the living God, but that is no living God. Because we know dragons or dinosaurs are extinct, okay? Unless they doing some Jurassic Park stuff, but I digress. Verse 25, But give me leave, O king, and I will kill this dragon without sword or club. And the king said, I give thee leave. Then Daniel took pitch and fat and hair and boiled them together. And he made lumps, and he put them into the dragon's mouth.
Good shot.
Thanks.
And the dragon burst asunder, and he said, Behold, him whom you worship. Babylonians had heard this. They took great indignation, and being gathered together against the king, they said, The king is become a Jew. He hath destroyed Baal, he hath killed the dragon, and he hath put the priests to death. And they came to the king and said, Deliver us, Daniel, or else we will destroy thee and thy house. And the king saw they pressed upon him violently, and being constrained by necessity, he delivered Daniel to them. Cast him into the den of lions, and he was there 6 days. And in the den there were 7 lions, and they had given to them 2 carcasses every day, and 2 sheep. But then they were not given unto them, that they might devour Daniel. Now there was in Judea a prophet called Habakkuk, and he had boiled pottage, and he had broken bread in a bowl, and he was going into the field to carry it to the reapers. And the angel of the Lord said to Habakkuk, Carry the dinner which thou hast into Babylon to Daniel, who is in the lion's den. And Habakkuk said, Lord, I never saw Babylon, nor do I know the den. I've never been there. And the angel of the Lord took him by the top of his head. He grabbed him by the top of his head and carried him by the hair of his head, and set him in Babylon over the den in the force of his spirit. And Habakkuk cried, saying, O Daniel, thou servant of God, taketh the dinner that God hath sent thee. And Daniel said, Thou hast remembered me, O God, and thou hast not forsaken them that love thee. He didn't forsake them. Verse 38, And Daniel arose and ate, and the angel of the Lord presently set Habakkuk against his own place. And upon the 7th day the king came to bewail Daniel, and he came to the den and looked in, and behold, Daniel was sitting in the midst of the lions. And the king cried out with a loud voice, saying, Great art thou, O Lord, the God of Daniel. And he drew him out the lion's den. But those that had been the cause of his destruction, he cast them into the den, and they were devoured in a moment before him. Then the king said, Let all the inhabitants of the whole earth fear the God of Daniel, for he is the Savior, working signs and wonders in the earth, who hath delivered Daniel out of the lions